seems in the HR course sometimes. Leadership, I think you have some courses in leadership. So those kind of courses or those kind of chapters or topics, we are not going to stress them much. Actually, you will have some of the MBA courses that will cover those topics in more details. Then we are not going to waste our time, talking about these things in detail. What basically we are going to do is the following. Those are the chapters that we are going to focus on: defining the project, estimating time to cost, project plan, risk, scheduling, reduce project duration, outsourcing, probably, progress and performance. Okay, those are the chapters, measurement, evaluation, and the closure, of course. The other chapters, I don't think that we need to spend much time on them. That's why I included the presentation with all chapters within the book that we are going to use, which I'm going to give you, by the way, in order to give you complete insight about what project management is and what you need to do. Okay? Let's then start with model project management. What do we know about projects? Why projects? What's the meaning of the word project? Any idea?
Is temporary activities which executed in dead time with start and end time, must be unique.
Okay. Any other ideas?
Some ranging ideas which carry out through some business which has been started, which has start time and end time.
Any other ideas? Okay. Project management. This is actually a figure or a diagram for networking that we are going to study in details later on. But these are the arrangement of the chapters that we are going to cover. As we can see, we are going to start with the introduction, then we are talking about strategy, the organization, then we can have two paths, whether to go there or to go here. So basically, we are going to work with this arrangement throughout the end of the chapters. Okay? A project is a complex, non-routine, one-time effort limited by time, budget, resources, and performance specifications designed to meet customer needs. This is the definition of project management. The definition of project management that you will find in the project management body of knowledge, which is the document that is issued by the Project Management Institute for PMP, is slightly different in wording, but it's the same meaning. It's a complex, non-routine, one-time effort, so definitely it's non-routine. And we have to stop here by non-routine. Limited by time, budget, resources, and performance specifications. So those are the requirements of this non-routine effort, designed to meet customer needs. Anything, any activity that falls under this definition is called a project. Okay. Characteristics of project: it has an established objective, meet customer needs, has defined lifespan with beginning and end time, required across the organizational participation, resources, okay. Involves doing something never has been done before, non-routine, has specific time, cost, and performance requirements. These are the characteristics of any project. If we are building a new bridge, then this is a project. Once we finished building this bridge, and this bridge starts to operate, then we are talking about operation. which is totally different than project. Okay? Lots of people are just confusing between operations and projects. Okay? Operations usually are something that is repetitive, so we have to be careful with this. We are doing operation every day. Even in your factory, for example, if you're producing a batch of cakes, this batch by itself, you can call it a project, but tomorrow you're just producing another batch same way. Then we cannot call it, again, a project. We call this an operation or a process, whatever. Okay? So at the end of the day, we need to be careful distinguishing between a project and a process. Project is a non-routine. Non-routine means that you don't do it every day. Not necessarily every day, but you don't do it frequently. Right? This is very important. Because if you do it every day, it means that, or every now and then, it means that you do it today, you have a plan for this, or a series of steps, or a workflow, or a process for this. You do it today, you're going to do the same process tomorrow, you're going to do the same process the day after tomorrow. That's it. So what's new? It's going to be difficult for you the first time. Okay. Anybody here, I think all of us drive, us cars are driving, right? Can drive. Remember the first day you start driving your car, you started driving your car. It was a difficult task. But now, do you think that you think before driving your car? No, because it's a routine work. You get used to it. So this is not a problem. Programs versus projects. Sometimes if we have several projects carried out by a company, then we call these several projects as a program. Because lots of people, we have some, in some companies, we have a position called program manager, which is different than project manager. A program manager is a program is a series of coordinated, related, multiple projects that continue over an extended time and are intended to achieve the goal. If we have certain projects, okay, several projects or multi-projects that achieve a certain goal, we call them a program. A construction company like Arab Contractors, for example, they have programs. They have programs. Let's say a program to launch or to establish a new city, new urban city. Okay. They might have several projects for this. Projects for roads, projects for supplying electricity, projects for building the houses, the sewage system. So each one of those is a separate project by its own. However, the overall urban city, once it's ready, then we have a program to establish this city. Okay, so this is the difference between them. It's a high-level group of projects targeted at a common goal. Example: a project completion of a required course in your project management. This course, you can call this a project. But a program, completion of all courses required for your business major or your MBA degree. Okay, you cannot say an MBA project. You can say MBA program, because probably you're going to study like 9-10 courses, whatever. So once you are finished with all of these, then you'll have a program. Okay? Actually, this chapter, in this introductory chapter, we are going to cover some, basic terminology that we are using in project management. So I think it won't be very difficult for you to read them afterwards. Routine work, yes.
I read in the book about portfolio.
Portfolio is the same thing about portfolio is the number of projects that you are going to choose among the available opportunities in the market. Which ones are you going to choose? We are going to discuss that later. Routine, repetitive work, which is operations and projects. These are some examples. Once taking class notes. You do that every day, every class. Writing a term paper. You Usually you don't do that unless, let's say, one time. So this is a project, this is routine work. Okay? Daily entering sales receipts into accounting logger. Setting up sales closet for professional accounting meeting. So here are some examples. Okay? To compare between routine, which is operations, and projects that we spoke about earlier. These are things that are repeated every now and then according to the its frequency. And these things actually usually you do it once. Okay? Life cycle. This is the first terminology that we need to know about project. Each and every project has a life cycle. As we studied in marketing, as we said, there's something called product life cycle. Actually, each project has a project life cycle. What do you mean by life cycle?
It's from initiating up to being.
What's the meaning of a life cycle? In general, forget about projects.
From everybody has
The time frame,
Tasks or steps leads to other tasks.
the time frame of the project.
No. The word, like, forget about the word project, the life cycle itself, the term life cycle. No. What does it mean?
from start to finish. Anything. Product from start to finish. That's it.
It's the series of activities or things that are happening to anything or anybody since the start till the end. Okay? Remember when we were in the high school, we used to study biology. We had those life cycles of insects and animals and all these things. This is a life cycle as well. من الميلاد حتى الممات زي ما بيقولوا. For anything, it can be a person, it can be an animal, it can be an insect, it can be an object. So even the project has a life cycle. The life cycle of this project actually has 4 phases. First one is defining, then planning, then executing, then delivering. Okay? And the PMBOK, you will find different terminologies, but at the end of the day, they are the same. They start with initiation, planning, execution, and then closing. Okay, whatever, closing and delivering, it's the same meaning. Any project in the world, you cannot start a project out of nowhere, just like this. You have to have some activities or a stage where you start defining what is your project, to initiate the idea, in order this idea to be cooked enough, in order to be a feasible idea. Okay? Let's say if we have a problem of traffic over Cairo and we decided to build a new bridge. This is an idea. Is it feasible? Is it not? Nobody knows. Okay? So we need to have like a preliminary discussion between each other, you know, in order to define this idea. As we spoke earlier in earlier courses, any idea in the world or any problem in the world needs to be defined, accurately defined, in order to find a good solution for it. Okay? So first of all, we need to define this idea. Then once we defined this idea, we need to start to plan. Plan means what are the steps that we are going to carry out in order to implement this idea. Once we plan, then start execution. Start implementing this idea. And finally, deliver the end product or the end result to the customer. No matter who the customers are. Okay? This graph actually represents 2 axes here. This axis is the time from start to end, and this axis is the level of effort. As we can see, the defining phase starts from 0. Once we started, let's build the bridge. Okay, this is the start time. Our level of effort starts to increase, and then after a while it decreases until it becomes 0. At a certain point here, this is where the idea is feasible. And this is, the idea is as we say, completely cooked and is ready to be fully implemented. Okay? Then, as you can see, the planning starts from zero as well. The effort of planning. Effort means you are dedicating people to work in the design phase, dedicating people to work in the planning phase and execution and so on. Okay. Then the planning starts, and usually the planning takes longer time than the definition phase, which is normal. Okay. Then you start the execution, and the execution, surprisingly enough, starts from zero as well. Right? Which is not logic for some of us. I might think that. But at the end of the day, it starts from zero, but with lower level till the end. The execution is the thing that goes till the end. And then towards the end, we start the delivering phase or the closing phase. Our effort starts to increase here in order to in order to deliver this project to the client or to the customer. Okay. The question is, well, this one reached zero, it's understood. I think. This one starts from here and reaches zero, it's understood as well. The level of effort means that we need people to work on this until this time. Okay. The question is, why planning and execution starts from zero?
Because it's a new project, new idea.
I mean, you need to define it first, then start planning. Why you start planning from here? And okay, if we agreed that we can start planning from here, why we start execution first?
It's a big time. It takes time.
Okay.
The definition, the defining and the planning also together. So planning for defining and execution for planning also. It's a step of the project.
Okay. Let's agree on something. The chronological order for those four phases are definition, planning, execution, and delivery. Do you agree to that?
Yeah.
The chronological order. The order of arranging those phases. We need to start with definition, then planning, then execution, then delivery. Right? We cannot switch any one in the place of the other. Okay? Is that okay? We agree to this? Okay. Why? Okay, the question is why we start these three phases at the start line? This is my question.
From the starting point.
If you are saying, or if we are agreeing that this is the order, we need to finish definition first, then stop, then move on to planning. Actually, we can do that. But if we did this, what will happen to the time frame? We get longer. The issue is we have always limited time. That's why we need to squeeze everything. So that's the reason why we can start from here, and as you can see, the level of effort at this point in time for the definition phase is higher than, the planning phase is higher than the execution phase, which is logical. Okay. Example. We are excavating the road to lay down some cables. What should we do? We can do three things. Excavation, laying down the cables, then getting the road back. Right? Okay. If we have like 10 kilometers of cables to lay down, do you think that it's logic? Excavate 10 kilometers, then lay down the 10 kilometers of cable, then putting the 10 kilometers back.
cube by cube, for example.
For example, if we are doing them like one, let's divide these 10 kilometers into 10 pieces or 10 phases, as we can say. Okay, we can start excavation at the first phase. Then, okay, once we finish excavation, the person for laying down cables can start this first kilometer, first phase, while the people of excavation can move to the next phase. Okay, right? And then carry on the same way. Okay, so once we are starting phase 3, which is the third kilometer, then the people for putting down the road back again can start at phase 1. Okay, and so on. So we are squeezing the time that way. This is why we can start the definition and the planning and the execution at the same time.
So we start from for delivery from the same point the last end of execution.
Usually you cannot start delivering from here.
No, I don't need this. I'm talking about delivery.
Okay?
Why we should it start from the end of execution?
And the execution is here.
You know, why we start from this point?
You mean you start delivering from here that way?
Yes. Why we start from this point?
Perfect. Let's read the activities of delivery. These are the series of activities that we can or we carry out in each phase. Here we have train customer, transfer documents, release resources, release stuff, lessons learned.
This means that we are working in parallel with execution.
You are keeping execution, and here, let's say, if we are in our projects in electricity, we are just doing the testing and commissioning.
I'm just asking about this point in particular.
I mean, we can start training the customers about how to operate.
Yes.
We can start it from here. You don't have to wait until it's commissioned and
I know.
commercially operational,
I know.
right? So basically, these are the activities if we are going to look at the define goals, specification, tasks, responsibilities. Okay. Planning, schedules, budgets, resources, risks, staffing. Staffing means move people or assign people
Assign people.
to different activities. Execution, here we need to start implementation and develop status reports, changes, qualities, forecasts. We have forecasts here as well.
Which
Why?
Forecast.
Why do we have forecasts in project management?
because we want to know for whom we deliver.
We have to put a certain situations in order something might happen and it we don't have an idea about it or something is sudden.
Okay, because the word forecasts actually irritates lots of people. Irritates lots of people. Okay, it's not an easy word for a lot of people. However, we need to do that because at the end of the day, we are executing. We need to forecast when exactly are we on time, are we on budget, when exactly are we expected to finish this project. Okay, so that's why we need to do forecast. Delivery, we need to train customer, transfer documents if we are going to hand some documents for the operation manuals, release resources. Now we have some resources committed to the execution of this project. Once we finish this project, we need to release our resources to other projects.
So the forecast usually made on the planning.
No. No. Execution. Forecast of what? Here in the planning, you have everything defined. You know exactly the tasks with the time, with the budget and everything. Once you start execution, okay, surprises will come. Okay? Here, you do the forecast or try to anticipate for as many risks as you can. This is, you do that in planning. Okay. Right?
You can
Risk, yeah, risk is-
risk is forecasting risk.
Forecasting the risks, whatever the risks that might occur.
Yeah. When we do planning, we should have a forecast.
For what? for the execution. Yes, ماشي.
have a forecast.
ماشي.
We should have a forecast
For what?
for the execution.
ماشي. Okay. But once you start the execution, الفوركاست هتعمله فين؟ تحطه فين؟
الفوركاست ده عشان اعرف انا اساسا when I should deliver.
ما هو ده مش فوركاست.
what time I should deliver.
ده مش forecast.
الرامب اب بتاع الدليفري.
ده مش فوركاست. ده مش فوركاست. ما هو ده
ده
ده هتعمله في البلاننج في السكادجولز. السكادجول بتاعك انت بتحط السكادجول بتاعك اكوردنج. الاكتيفيتي دي هتاخد شهر. بص الاكتيفيتي دي هتاخد شهر. الاكتيفيتي دي هتاخد شهر. الاكتيفيتي دي هتاخد شهر. يبقى انت عارف ان انت بعد 3 شهور هتخلص المشروع. يعني بص this is not a forecast. This is scheduling. Okay? It's different than forecasting the sales, for example.
هو اساسا عشان اعمل بلاننج لازم يكون معايا سيلز فوركاست عشان اعرف اشتغل على البروجكت.
This is for operation. This is not for a project.
لا بس فور البروجكت.
No.
انا طبعا مش شغال كده.
It's wrong.
ازاي؟
هقول لك بس this is for operation not for projects.
مش عارف عربيه جديده اوكي هتشتغل في 2016 اوكي العربيه دي انا بعمل لها بروجكت مانجمنت دلوقتي تمام؟
ثانية ايه؟
ليه؟ عشان خاطر نبني اللاين وندرب الناس ونبتدي نستارت برودكشن عشان خاطر بعد كده يبقى في دليفري ان سيرتن تايم بره مصر.
ايوه.
هذا الدليفري اول حاجه انا محتاجها ايه؟ سيلز فوركاست.
عظيم. عظيم.
اوكي
انت
ما عملناش اكسكيوشن حاجه خالص.
محتاج السيلز فوركاست عشان تعمل حاجة واحدة بس. عشان تاخد الجو نو جو ديسيجن.
نو الجو نو جو ديسيجن از بين تيكن. انا دلوقتي
ما-
محتاج
خد-
السيلز فوركاست
خد-
للسبب الاخر ان انا لازم احسب الخطوط عندي الكاباسيتي بتاعتي هتبقى عامله ازاي عشان خاطر اقدر ادي الفوركاست بتاع السيلز.
ماشي.
لازم احسب الدليفري لبره والليد تايم بتاع السي
كويس. كل ده كويس قوي. كل اللي انت بتتكلم عليه ده هيجي
اسمه ايه؟
في الاوبريشن. ده هيجي في سكادجول. تعمل سكادجول للمصنع بتاعك. بص بروجكت لو انت بتتكلم على بروديوسينج نيو برودكت ماشي؟ عشان تعمل بزنس كيس وفاليديت انه ده جود انفستمنت ولا لا هتعمل له فوركاستنج. دي قصه ثانيه. هتجيب السيلز فوركاست بتاعك للفاميليز مثلا كويس؟ خدت الديسيجن بتاع الجو ديسيجن من ساعه ما هتاخد الجو لحد الكوميرشال اوبريشن دي بتاع المصنع. This is a project. كويس؟ هنا كل ده بيعمل في البلان. سكادجول والبادجت والريسورسز والريسك والستاف. ما ريسورسز كويس؟
جميل ان هنا هيبقى فيه سيلز فوركاست.
مش مشكله. ما انت لازم ده انت باني عليه دي.
بالظبط.
ما انا بقول لك دي قصه ثانيه. فوركاست بتاعت دي this is something different. النهارده ده تساوي انت هتبني المصنع ده في 3 سنين ماشي؟ بعد سنه ونص المفروض تبقى فين؟ تبقى في الحته دي. ده تساوي هنا. اوكي؟ لا المفروض اكشلي انت هنا.
يبقى
انت behind schedule.
تمام.
طيب لو انا كملت ما انت لازم تقعد تقول لنفسك behind schedule معناها انت متاخر الحته دي. طب السؤال بقى لو انا كملت بالريت اللي انا ماشي فيه اللي هو البطيء ده هكمل هوصل هنا امتى؟
انا ما ينفعش انا لازم اعمل ريفايس بلان عشان ابقى اباف سكيدول او اون سكيدول.
وحاجه من الريفايس بلانز انت لازم تعملها ان انت تعمل فوركاستنج هتوصل هنا امتى؟ sometimes انت ممكن تبقى behind schedule شويه صغيرين كويس ويبقى accepted ان انت تتاخر مثلا let's say شهر او 3 سنين. فاللي هو ما انتش محتاج ريفايس.
دكتور احنا لما نكون بيهاند سكيدول المفروض ان احنا ذاتس مين انه في مثلا بريمافيرا عمود بيقول ان احنا ليه بيهاند سكيدول وايه هي الاكشنز اللي تم ان احنا واي بيهاند.
وقبل ما تاخد الاكشنز
ذاتس واي الاكتيفيتيز دي اللي المفروض انها كانت في بريمافيرا تتعمل في هذا الوقت اتاخرت. وهي دي مش هعملها في الكاستنج انا لازم الحق واعملها.
انا ما بقولش تعمل اكتيفيتيز الفوركاست الاكتيفيتي اتاخرت لا. انت كنت ماشي بريت اقل. عشان كده اتاخرت. صح كده؟ بمعدل اقل. صح؟ يعني حصل لك مشكله زي ما انت اتاخرت.
بالنسبه لي اتس ديفايند ان في حاجات في البروجكت مانجمنت سكيدول
ماشي مش
لا
معترض.
بتتم في ميعادها.
بص يا كريم مش معترض
عشان يعني
مش معترض ده صح. كويس؟ طيب لما تيجي تعمل ريفيو انت فين بالظبط؟ انت واقف فين بالظبط؟ انت لقيت نفسك بيهاند سكيدجول او اوفر بادجت
لقيت نفسي بهايند سكادول باسبوعين، هو البادجت مش هتكلم فيه.
لا ما هي نفس الفكره، نفس الفكره،
لا يعني
نفس الفكره،
نسيبها
معلش
انا
نفس
انا
الفكره،
معاك.
ماشي، نفس هما الاثنين نفس الفكره، كويس. لقيت نفسك اوفر بادجت او بيهايند سكيدجول، تعمل ايه؟ You need to take certain actions، صح؟ Taking certain actions means money, extra cost، خلاص خلصت، او ان انت هتاخر في الوقت، صح كده؟ قبل ما تاخد الاكتيفيتيز دي انت بتعمل حاجه اسمها فوركاست. لو انا فضلت ماشي بالمعدل اللي انا كنت ماشي بيه قبل كده، سواء في الوقت سواء في البادجت، هوصل هنا امتى؟ كويس؟ وبعدين تيجي تسال نفسك سؤال، لو انت لقيت نفسك هتوصل بعديها باسبوعين بالظبط وبنفس المعدل ده، وليتس سي اوفر بادجت مثلا ب 10% ولا حاجه زي كده which is acceptable بالنسبه لك compared to للتكلفه والوقت اللي انت هتدفعهم عشان تعمل الكوركتيف اكشن عشان تعدل البلان بتاعك، يبقى خليك. That's why you need to forecast. بص هنتكلم فيها ان ديتيلز زي ما قلت لك.
طيب انا هاخد كويشنز. شوف اول واحد سهل وبسيط، انا عايز اديفاين الاند، عايز اديفاين الاند.
الاند؟
بناء على الاند هي انتهاء البروجكت ولا لكي يتحول من بروجكت لبروسيس او اوبريشنز، ولا هي هل هي كده صح؟
When you hand this project to the customer to start operating
يعني دي اللي حولهم من بروجكت لبروسيس.
commercial operation date.
كويس قوي. انا بقى مش مقتنع بحكايه ان الاكسكيوشن والبلاننج يبتدوا بس عكس السؤال اللي حضرتك سالته.
ليه؟
ليه؟ فور اكزامبل مشروع قناه السويس كان فكره ايام السادات، تمام؟ فهي الديفايننج بتاعه كان من 40 سنه تقريبا، وتم الاكسكيوشن في 2014 which means انه مش شرط دايما الاكسكيوشن يبتدي من الصفر، والبلاننج بتاعه اكيد ما ابتداش من ايام الصفر، من ايام السادات.
ما قلتش من الصفر، ما قلتش ان هو شرط، سوري ما قلتش ان هو شرط، لكن ممكن.
ازاي؟ في حد بيعمل بلاننج واكسكيوشن on the same day defining project.
Yes.
This is Superman يعني فين ده موجود؟ انا عايز اكزامبلز.
الليفل اوف ايفورت اللي انت بتتكلم عليه هنا فين؟
نعم؟
الليفل اوف ايفورت هنا اقل.
احنا بنعمل الفكره.
ماشي.
ازاي هنعمل لها
قررنا ان احنا نعمل كوبي. كويس. One of the planning احنا we started to define المسار الرئيسي بتاع الكوبي. خلاص. ومن نفس الوقت بعتنا حد قلنا له لو سمحت ابتدي اعمل لنا في التصميم. التصميم بتاع الماتيريالز مش التصميم بتاع الشكل. بتاع الماتيريالز.
بس هنتقابل الفكره.
ما هو ده في الكتابه ما يعني خلصنا.
يوم ما اتقابل ده كان كده مش في التايم زيرو، احنا بعد التايم زيرو شويه.
احنا بعد التايم زيرو شويه؟ طيب ماشي. عايز تروح لهم شويه؟
انا مقتنع تماما انه ما ينفعش يكون زيرو.
You can have some activities, some. This drawing here, this life cycle here incorporates all the cases. You can have some activities that you can start engage some planners to do them.
ممكن نستعمل. لما جيت هنا انا كنت ديفاين فكره ان انا عايز اخد MBA، فدخلت جوه على السكرتاريه جوه، فقلت لها انا عايز بس بسال على MBA، ما كانش في اي نيه ان انا اشترك يعني هخش. فقالت لي ان MBA كذا وكذا وكذا، دي كانت الفكره والديفاين. بعدين في نفس الوقت قررت او خدت البلان ان انا خلاص هاخد MBA، فابتدي افهم. ده بالنسبه لي بلاننج، وفي نفس الوقت الاكسكيوشن قالت ممكن تخش المحاضره شغاله دلوقتي، ده كده اكسكيوشن. كل ده خد من ناحيه السيرفر.
هو بس في حاجه
The issue is it's a very critical line between the way we used to think in operations and the way that we work in project.
بالظبط. انا بقالي 20 سنه شغلي في
بص
عمري ما عملت
عمرك انا معاك ان هو عمرك ممكن تكون انت عمرك ما عملتها، لكن in some projects yes you can do that.
هناك معين شانس مش كده زي بعض. ايام عين شانس كنا بندرس في سنه ثالثه كليه مشروع مخالطه الاطفال. تمام؟ هو المشروع اللي هيعمل جديده جديده في مصر وتفهمي لحد النهارده ما اتنفذش. هو يستفيد من الاكسكيوشن.
That's an example. أنا متفق معاك تماما في كده. أنا myself I work in certain examples in certain projects that we start with the three things: on the same day.
In case of restoration of water plant or any electrical plant, so we start to define, like, for example, the practical project I work with, some road drinking water plant, okay? So we start to share in the building. At the same time, we start to buy cable, we start to buy switch gear, and we start to plan how we do it.
It can.
يعني
It can happen.
let's say من البرسنت بتاعتي ضعيفة.
ماشي.
normally الديفينيشن بيتبعوا انه تغير الفكرة ثم يتم عمل عليها دراسة جدوى ثم يتم عمل عليها وضع هتجيب فلوس منين نعمل البروجكت ده اذا بتتحط بادجت بعد كده بنبتدي بعد كده ناخد قرار يس جو فور ذس كل ده ما عملناش كده خالص احنا جاست بندرس الفكرة
بس هو ده
بس الفكرة نفسها لان انت بتدرس قرار انا هعمل المشروع ده ولا لا اعتقد ان دي اساسا ما ينفعش معاها اي كلام دي محتاجه
على
هو ده بس مش مصر بس.
لا من بره لا
ثانية ممكن تصبر 10 minutes بالظبط نتكلم على موضوع ان انت نعمل مشروع موضوع البورتفوليو. So basically this is what we call the project management, right? Challenges of project management, you need to have this guy. الراجل اللي بيقول ضغط السكر والضغط الدنيا كده. Okay? This is the key element for the success or failure of any project. الجزء ده انا اسف في اللفظ يعني بس هو اسمه هو كده. ماشي اللي اشتغل منكم بروجكت مانجمنت بجد الجزء ده هو اللي بيمشي كل الريزلت. Manages temporary unrepetitive activities and frequently acts independently of the formal organizations. He or she marshals the resources for the project, is linked directly to the customer interface, provides direction, coordination, and integration of the project team, is responsible for performance and success of the project. Must include the right people at the right time to address the right issues to make the right decisions. هو شخص الحالي ده اللي بنعمل مع طول الارض organization والتاف مانجمنت والستوك هولدرز والكاستمرز والببلكس كل الستيك هولدرز. That's why you need to know about the things about management, how to deal with people, how to treat different people, how to communicate with different stakeholders. Okay? لازم تبقى حصلك في الثلاجة وانت بتتكلم مع الناس. حصلك مش في الثلاجة اعتقد حصلك في الفريزر. والا هتحس ان انت بتلعب. Implementation or importance of project management, of course, importance. I think it is obvious that we need to have project management because compression of the product life cycle in general. What does product life cycle has to do with project management? What does product life cycle has to do with project management?
from the birth to the end.
We have one of the reasons why project management is important is the compression of product life cycle. Right. يا جماعة سلام يعني سلام. لسه ما سمعش منه. حد شارب قهوة الصبح؟ حد شارب قهوة خالص؟ شارب رحمة فوقها. لك قهوة تانية؟ ليه؟ انا عارف ان هو ايه جدا ليه؟
I can give an example بس انا مش عارف اجاوب السؤال. السيب لايك اللي بيحصل في السامسونج اللي عاملين بيدرسوا موبايلات
Exactly.
compression of the product life cycle.
The life cycle is
فهو
like
كل
any
project
product
عشان
is
خاطر يضل
project. A new project for a new product in order to stay or to prolong your overall life cycle. That's it. That's exactly. ما تخبوش كده بقى. Global competition, knowledge explosion, corporate downsizing, increased customer focus, rapid development of the third world and the closed economies, small projects that represent big problems. I don't have a problem with all of these. What's this? Do you agree to that? That small projects usually cause big problems? Why?
يعني أنا نفسي أنا يعني
لازم نحسن.
بس أنا مريت بالموضوع ده فعلا فتحت مشروع صغير عمل لي مشاكل كتير أوي بعد كده.
ليه؟
أولا عندي فكرة بقى إن أنا ما أفتحش مشروع تاني. الاكسبيرمنتيشن بقى فتحت حاجة وقفلتها فتحتها وقفلتها خلاص.
Okay. That's a good example. We all pass through this. Why big small projects cause big problems? No, it's not. Not necessarily.
Maybe about
A small project.
maybe part of big program and then it will تتأثر مشروع كبير أو حاجة.
Okay. Let's have an example that Karim just said. Just started the project, and he failed. Why did he fail?
لا مش سؤال مش
bad planning.
Lack of resources. Limited resources. كل حاجة بقى. في البلاننج وفي الديفينيشن وفي الفلوس وفي الاكويبمنت وفي كل حاجة. Lack of resources. Usually, small projects do not have those large pool of resources that you can rely on to implement those projects. ما هو lack of resources ده معناه bad planning ده معناه انك ما جبتش هتعمل كويس مثلا. ما جبتش حد كويس يعمل لك definition او good definition of the project. good definition of the idea. ما كانش عندك امكانيه او حتى لو انت فكرت في فكره كويس ما كانش عندك امكانيه ان انت ما كانش عندك فلوس كفايه ان انت تصمم في فتره اطول. كويس. فكل ده usually big problems كلها فين؟ big problems معناها فين؟ كويس. الشركات اللي لما بتكبر شويه المشاريع بتكبر شويه لما الكابابيلتيز بتاعت الشركه بتكبر شويه النولج بتاعتها بتكبر شويه وبالتالي
Stable شوية.
الفيلير ريت بتاعهم ايه؟ Okay, that's why we need project management. That's a very good reason why we need to study project. Okay. Integrated project management systems. Problems resulting from the use of piecemeal project management do not tie together to the overall strategy of the firm. Usually, when the firms, each firm or any company, when they start small projects or piecemeal, what we call them piecemeal project management systems, they don't integrate them together. They fail to prioritize selection of projects by their importance, their contribution to the firm, are not integrated throughout the project life cycle, do not match project planning and controls with organizational culture to make appropriate adjustments and support the project goals. These are some reasons why if we don't integrate our project management, our projects into a project management system within the organization, then we are going to fail. Okay? Again, this is understood. Basically, this is the organizational culture and environment. We start with strategic alignment, then we create a portfolio to manage, portfolio of projects to manage. Then at the lower level, we will have the project management. Okay? For those of you who already completed the strategic management course, I think we covered this part. So our projects needs to be aligned with our strategy. We shouldn't do any project that does not fit to our strategy. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. It's going to fail. Okay? This is another way to represent it. We start with the environmental analysis, taking the requirements after getting the needs and requirements of the customer, whether external or internal. We spoke about this in strategic management, I guess. Then you define the mission, the goals, the strategies, the priorities, the list of projects, whether you speak about or take the dimension, the cultural dimension of this, which is the organization, the leadership, the teams, and the partners, or the system itself, the scope, work breakdown, the networks, resources, and cost, which will lead us to good project implementation. Okay? So this is what we call a top-down approach of thinking. We start from our strategy, then to implement this strategy, we need to carry out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects, which basically constitutes our portfolio. Okay? Two dimensions, the socio-cultural and the technical. We need to integrate these two together. Probably you have the best software that develops the scope, the work breakdown, the schedule, the resources, the baseline, the status reports, everything. But you don't have the right people. Or you might have the right people, but you don't have the tools. So again, these two things we need to integrate together in order to have a successful project. Okay? So I think this is something that we need to understand. Any questions?
شايف ان دي ناقصه
اوكي. قول اللي انت عايزه كله، طلع كل اللي في دماغك. بص انا جاي النهارده يعني ايه جاهز لكم. Alright? Strategy and project selection. كمل ولا ايه؟ We moved to this part. Before we move to the organization itself and how we organize, or what is the perfect organization structure for our projects, we need to think about strategy and how do we select our projects. Strategic management process as changes in the organization mission and strategy. Project managers must respond to changes with the appropriate decisions about future projects and adjustment to current projects. Project management managers who understand their organization strategy can become effective advocates of projects aligned with the firm's mission. First of all, for any organization to be successful, it has to start with planning their strategies or setting their strategies. Okay? Where exactly they want to go in the future. Okay? And according to this strategy, they are going to see the market opportunities out there in order to fulfill or implement this strategy. Market opportunities can occur or can be grabbed or taken advantage of through projects. So which projects should we take in order to perform or in order to achieve our strategic objectives or strategic goals? Rule number 1, involve project managers into the strategic planning process. They are the ones who know how to manage the projects, what are the problems that are occurring. Let me go back a little bit to the project life cycle. This one. Lessons learned. This is one of the outputs or one of the tasks that we need to do in any project management. Any project. What do you mean by lessons learned?
lessons learned from past service.
دروس المستفادة اللي هي خبرتهم.
Okay. Once upon a time, first project I worked in, I was asked, I was given a notebook like this, and I was asked to write what happened each and every day to me,
You died.
like a diary.
Your brother died.
And I was asked to write this with no line spacing, no line spacing. Okay, I said, okay, my handwriting is correct. He said, don't worry, we are going to read it. Okay. No, it wasn't. No, it has to be handwritten. And when I asked why, they said that they are using these diaries of each and every member of the project for the lessons learned. This is one thing. The other thing is they are using these diaries for controlling of the project. How's that? Assume that there is an incident that happened in the site or during the execution of the project. They get the involved people of the diary, the involved people around this incident, and they look for their diaries. They can get some, if they are carrying out an investigation for that, one of the sources that they get their information from is the diaries. I was here, I just met Peter, whatever. You know, so they can get some information or some clues that can help them in controlling the project or mitigating any risks that can happen. But the most important thing is you build your experience, your knowledge of your company for the upcoming project. The upcoming project, not necessarily to be the same time, by the way. It can be in any other field. However, your experience, if you are working in a construction project and then in a software engineering, building a new software project, although the outputs are totally different, but the experience of talking to different people, for example, won't differ, so it can be useful for you. Okay? That's why you need to let the project managers to be involved during the strategic planning process because of the lessons learned of the manager. Maybe you can say, okay, this is our strategy, and we can say, take this project, let's take this project or not. Maybe the project manager will have some experience that can tell you, yes, you can take this project, no, you cannot take it because of 1, 2, 3. Okay. Strategic process review. Strategic manager provides the team in focus on the future direction of work, responding to changes or allocating scarce resources of the firm. It requires strong links among mission, goals, objectives, strategy, and implementation. We're not going to go into the details of this because I think most of you know it. For activities that we need to carry out in the strategic management process, review and define organizational mission, set long-range goals and objectives, provide formulate strategies to reach those objectives, and implement the strategies through the projects. All right? This is how we do it. We review our mission, whether internal and external environment opportunities, strengths and weaknesses. We develop the new goals and objectives. We set the portfolio of strategic choices. This is what we call a portfolio. What are the options that are available? What are the opportunities out there? Which one of them that we are going to choose? Then you start implementing these strategies through the project selections, and then implement the project and go back again. So this is the project. This is how we need to link our projects to our strategy. Okay?
Now, the please.
8. What do you do in strategic planning of the organization? Okay. You need, first of all, you need to study your environment, whether externally through the opportunities and threats out there, or internally through strengths and weaknesses inside your organization. Okay. You study your environment, your strengths in your organization, the weaknesses of your organization, the opportunities out there externally in the market, and the threats out there. If you have a strong competitor, for example, that's a threat. Accordingly, you come out with new goals and objectives after reviewing your mission. Okay? Maybe you need to change this a little bit, you have a new competitor or something like that, so you need to change those. According to those, you need to choose the portfolio of strategic choices. What are the available choices that you are going to adopt? Okay. I have the option to expand, I have the option to increase my market share, I have the option to work internationally, whatever. These are the options. So you choose your portfolio of options. And then you start implementing those portfolios, which is implementation of the strategy. Right? The implementation of the strategy, it means that you have certain portfolios. Each and every aspect of this strategic choice, okay, has some projects that might be carried out in order to achieve this. So you have a project selection, you have to have a mechanism how to select projects. Okay? And then you have, once you selected the project, start implementing. Okay? That means we don't choose projects to implement randomly. Randomly. We have to align our project selections to our strategy. We have to. Even if we have a project that represents an opportunity for us, okay, we need to go through the whole process. Maybe we think for the first time that this is an opportunity for us, but after reviewing everything, we might discover that this is not an opportunity or a real opportunity. Okay, so this is again the important issue that we need. SMART objectives, spoke about them 1,000 times. Okay. Anybody hasn't seen that before? You saw it before. Okay. Anybody has not seen that before? شفتوها قبل كده؟ Okay. Usually when we set objectives, we set them as SMART. SMART means specific, measured, assignable, realistic, and timely. If your objective doesn't have those characteristics, then it's not an objective. It's not a good objective. It has to be specific. Specific exactly. What exactly you want to do. It has to be measurable. It has to have a measure, a trait or a criteria to measure this, like time, like weight, like whatever. It has to be assignable. Someone can make it. It has to be realistic. It has to be doable. Okay? Don't tell me that I'm going to go from here to Alexandria in 30 minutes. Because this is not realistic. Can you go from here to Alexandria in 30 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
No. Not even by airplane. Because if you are going to move from here, the airport, then take the flight. Then from the airport to wherever, no way it's going to take 30 minutes.
Why are you good?
Do we have a helicopter chopper parking upstairs?
In our street.
Anyway, we have to be realistic. It has to have some time. When exactly you want to achieve this? Okay. Problems of portfolio management or project portfolio management. What do we mean by project portfolio? As we said, we have what we call strategic portfolio choices, or portfolio of strategic choices. Each and every choice must have some projects to achieve it. Then we have a portfolio of projects. Okay. Implementation gap is one of the problems. Organization politics is another. Resource conflict and multitasking is the third. These are the main three problems that affect our portfolio of projects. Okay. Implementation gap, the lack of understanding and consensus on strategy among top management and middle level functional managers who independently implement the strategy. If we have this gap between the top management and the middle management, the gap of understanding what exactly we want to achieve, then we will have a problem for our portfolio. Why is that?
This is internal.
Yeah, internally, yes. Why? Because they are going, the middle managers or the functional managers, they are going to implement certain projects according to their understanding because they don't know why. Sometimes I know people that they work on projects that they don't know why the hell they are working on this project. Why the hell we are doing this project in the first place? That's a big problem. Imagine yourself working on a project that you don't know, you don't understand, you don't know why you are doing this. Have you ever did something in your life, even if it's a small activity, and you don't know why you are doing this activity? Remember when we were kids? You remember? Have you ever been a kid? Your mom used to tell you, don't put your hand into the electricity outlet.
مثل قديم بقى. مثل قديم.
جدا بس مثلا واقعي.
لا بس ده ممكن تحط ايدك مفيش مشكلة.
لا يعني وانت صغير مفيش طريقه يعني خلاص بقى حقيقه يعني لازم تفكرني عاجبك كده تبقى لنا استقاله والنبي الاستقالتين كده خلينا نخلص
شريك واقعي.
بس اهم حاجه مش هتلاقي حد قبل الاستقبال. ما شفناش حد قبل جوه.
مين ده؟
مفيش حد بس
محدش طلع
لا في واحد طلع امبارح قال يا جماعه الكلام ده بيحصل في الجو. في واحد نائب الجو. لا وزير. لا واحد نائب بتاعه طلع قال
احنا ما عندناش
هذا بيحصل عادي في الدولة.
مبدئيا احنا ما عندناش نفس
مش عارف.
نائب وزير
مفيش منصب مفيش
ما عندناش
ضغط
نائب وزير.
بشكل
مش
مباشر
ما
يعني
عندناش شخص ما
في
عندناش
أربع
منصب.
أشخاص تحت
كتير.
وزير بس
هو
ما
اسمه ايه؟
هو
اسمه ايه؟
جابر الدسوقي ما نقولش نطلع من حد تاني
لا هو يمين حرفيا
محدش بيتكلم عن
ممكن يماني حرفيا يماني
المحدث
لا مستشفيات خاصة المهم ما علينا هاني بص هاني اشاعات بقول لك نادي وزير ما عندناش عامل نادي وزير
ما عندناش كهرباء بتاعت مصر.
يا جماعه انتوا بتقولوا ان احنا بنقطع كهرباء بتقولوا ان احنا بنقطع كهرباء هو احنا عندنا كهرباء عشان نتاخر
بالظبط كده.
هو ايه السبب بجد؟ ايه السبب الرئيسي؟ غير ان هو عيب فني عشان العيب الفني ده يعني
القرار الرئيسي معروف من 15 سنة.
عيب الرابع عيب الرابع
اللي حصل امبارح ده كارثه
طبعا
فلازم يبقى
عيب الرابع
لازم يبقى
بص احنا فاضل لنا بالظبط
ليه الكلام ده؟
هم الحمد لله يحبوها الحمد لله يحبوها احنا فاضل لنا بالظبط 1000 ميجا كمان او 2000 ميجا كمان يطلعوا ده كلها قصه ده كلها وكان كمان بنتكلم في 5 6 ايام على الاضافه
مستشار وزير الدولة.
اسمه ايه؟ ايه؟
ما حدث في مصر اليوم
الراجل ده استقر من الكهرباء او طلع على المكتب
قالوا كتير
مستشار وزير الدولة.
يا عم
ملوش سابقة.
ملوش سابقا
ملوش سابقة.
عادي يعني كهرباء بتقطع ايه المشكله ان هو يفتح كده
بصوا زمان لما كان محطة واحدة ما يزيدش الكباسيتي بتاعتها عن مثلا 200 300 ميجا 200 300 ميجا دي هي مثلا اللي هي تغطي تقريبا قد ايه
ولا حاجه.
بص يعني ما تغطيش مثلا مدينه نصر 200 ميجا بس. رئيس الشركه كان بيتشال في نفس اليوم. الوزير لو ما كانتش المحطه دي تشتغل او تدخل الخدمه في اقل من 5-6 ساعات كان لازم يستقيل او يجبر على الاستقاله.
طبعا سنه 90
حد كنت لسه
لا لا، ده كان بيحصل دوت في
حد
فتره
فيكم حصل-
التسعينات كلها لحد بدايه يعني ال 2000
لا، كان أول
2004
94 ده كان بالليل صح؟
كمل كويس. ده بالظبط على 3 ساعات بالليل في رمضان. ده بالظبط على 3 ساعات.
في مصر
بالظبط كده
كلها
يعني. هو كان
مصر
ماكسيموم
ده كان جزء
ماكسيموم
بلاك
5 ساعات، وده
بالظبط.
ما لا يتجاوز ال 200 ميجا اللي هي بتغطي منطقه زي ما بقول لك كده اقل حتى كمان من مدينه نصر. كان لازم يجبر الوزير على الاستقاله او رئيس الشركه اللي ماسكه المنطقه دي او المسؤوله عن الخط ده يخرج يتشال في نفس اليوم. دلوقتي بقى عامل مع المشكله من فوق من اعلى حته عادي.
وايه حكايه الراجل اللي بينزل السكينه دي؟
مفيش كلام فارغ على فكره موضوع
عارف هذا الخبر بيقول لك ولايات هندسه دلوقتي قسم كهرباء وكهرباء المهندسين وينوم في الشركات عشان ينزلوا الخاص. يعني ده من فانكشن بتاعتهم بيعلموهم ازاي ينزلوا السكينه. Anyway, so this is basically one of the problems. Another problem is politics, organizational politics, and this is quite obvious, which we have in all of our organizations. The third one is the resource conflicts and multitasking. We have several projects at the same time, and we have limited resources. Which project are we going to assign the resources to? So usually these are the types of problems that we might face if we have a portfolio of projects. On the other hand, if we have this portfolio, we have some benefits like builds discipline into project selection process. This is an important thing. It links project selection to strategic metrics. Prioritize project proposals across common set of criteria rather than politics or emotions. Allocate resources to projects that align with strategic direction. Balances risk across all projects. Justify killing projects that do not support organization strategy. Killing projects. Projects that we don't use, has no impact to us because of politics, because of lots of things. We decided to do this. Who said so? According to what criteria you chose this? Which basically you need to have a discipline for selection process. Based on what are we going to select our projects? Okay. Improves communication and support agreement on project goals. This point here solves the first problem, or overcomes the first problem of the project portfolio, which is the implementation gap. If we have a good system for portfolio, this benefit will occur. You will overcome the implementation gap. As I said, let the functional or the middle level managers, the project manager, to be involved in the strategic process to overcome this communication problem. Okay. And I think one of the major problems that we do have in Egypt is communication. That will turn us to we can classify our projects in the portfolio according to these 3 classifications. The compliance or a must-do projects, strategic projects, operational projects. Our portfolio of project can consist of these 3 types. What does this mean? Some projects we need to carry out because we must do them. Usually, or the famous example of this, the factories of cement at a certain point in time back in the late 90s, I guess, they had to carry out some projects to put some filters over the chimneys. Okay? And they need to do that in order to comply with the law. So usually you have to do those projects, or you have to carry out those projects in order to comply with the rules or the laws or whatever. So you have to take them. They have a priority, yes, because you will have some penalties if you don't implement them. Then we have some operational projects. Operational projects, the famous example of that is quality management projects. If you implement a quality management project to your process, or if you have a production line, and you need to improve the quality of that production line, okay, so we call it an operational project. And finally, you have a strategic project, which are the long-term projects that support your strategy. So you need to classify your project portfolio according to these three. This is important. This will give you how we can utilize those projects, how to set priorities, which one is more important than other, and so on. Sometimes, 3 minutes later, we're going to see some practical methods to evaluate projects, but sometimes those projects or compliance projects or must-do projects should have the first priority, even if the measures or metrics are smaller than these. Maybe those projects are more profitable, but at the end of the day, you need to implement those first in order to avoid penalties. So you have to balance everything together. Portfolio management system, basically a selection criteria. You have some financial criteria that we might use, like the payback, like the net present value, like the internal rate of return, or non-financial project strategic importance to the firm, or we can have what we call multi-weighted scoring models, use several weighted selection criteria to evaluate project proposals. Okay? Whatever the way or the criteria that you can set, you can have it a financial or not financial, or you can have it a strategic one, or you can have a mix of them according to a certain weighting system. Okay? You set the criteria. Once you set the criteria, so use it along all the projects. Don't tell me I'm going to use these criteria for this project and another criteria for the second project. Just set this criteria as a base. Okay? Set it the way you want. I don't care about it. But let it be obvious to anyone. Okay? Financial models. First one is the payback model. Have you ever heard about the payback period? Payback period for any project. It's basically the amount of time that you should that should pass until you get all your investment. How many years, how many months, whatever, until you get back all your investment. Measures the time it will take to recover the project investment. Usually shorter paybacks are more desirable, which is logic. Emphasizes cash flow, a key factor in business, but however it has limitations. Basically it ignores the time value of money. It assumes cash inflow for investment period and not beyond. It doesn't consider profitability. Okay? For example, if I'm investing a project, let's say 100,000 pounds in the project, and it's paying me 15,000 pounds every month. What is the payback period? 100,000 investment, 15,000 monthly.
The year, let's see.
15
year.
6 months? No. 6 months, 15. 6 months is going to get you 90. تفرق كتير حضرتك يعني 6 months يبقى خسران.
لا هو بتيجي 15 في البدايه بتحسب الريت بتاعها.
لا افرض
لو هي يعني
ثابته افرض مثلا ده مثل صغير جدا يعني بس هنتكلم 6 months 10 days exactly. roughly estimation لو احنا فرضنا ان الفلوس دي اول كل شهر احنا هنتكلم 7 شهور.
نرجع
7 شهور هي 6.136 No, 6 months later. 6.67 something. 6 months, 20 days.
انا حاسب انترست.
لا من غير انترست.
لا
لما انا بقول لك رفلي كده يا امير
رفلي هنقسمها بالظبط.
تقسم ال 100 على 15.
السلايد اللي قبل كده كان فيه.
هم؟
السلايد اللي قبل كده فيه.
200 يوم 200 يوم
استوعبني على بعض بس خلاص. فبيسكلي this is let's say 7 months whatever. 7 months to recover all our investment. Okay? If we have a project
البي باك حرفيا يعني
فترة استرداد رأس المال. كويس؟ النهارده دفعت 100,000 تجي لك 15,000 كل شهر. فانت هتقعد 6 شهور هيجي لك 90,000. هتقعد 20 يوم كمان هيجي لك المفروض 10,000. ماشي خلاص كده التكتور يبقى بالظبط 6 شهور و20 يوم.
لا مفيش عودة
هنفرض ان هو ده بس بالتوضيح كويس. طبعا الموضوع اكثر تعقيدا من كده بس يعني احد المودلز احنا بنستخدمه. However هنا I ignore the time value of money. And we all know what is the time value of money. 10,000 pounds now does not equal 10,000 pounds after 1 month. Alright? Assumes cash inflows for investment period. You assume the cash inflow, and sometimes it's not feasible or it's not, or you cannot do that very frequently and not beyond, and doesn't consider profitability. You just included the inflows. You did not consider the profitability. Okay. However, it's one of the techniques. Actually, the shorter the payback, if I have a project that pays back in 10 months, it's better than a project that paybacks in a year. Because after the 10 months, the other 2 months, if you are comparing the 2 projects together, the other 2 months are going to be pure profit for you. So it's going to be more profit. That's one of the techniques, and it's simple. The second one is the net present value. Net present value, it uses management minimum desired rate of return, which is the discount rate, to compute the present value of all the net cash inflows. If it's positive, then the project meets the minimum desired rate of return and is eligible for further consideration. If it's negative, then we need to reject the project. And this is the formula that we use for calculating the net present value. Have you ever heard about this formula? Anybody? Doesn't know this? Hey. حكيف في امتحان ها
Thursday. What is this word in verse?
net present MPV
Oh, no.
continued
What?
continued this is the abbreviation continued استمرار
Yes, why is this understood?
financial models and then financial models تكملة
Apostrophe. What is the apostrophe?
continued بدل ما اكتب بقية الكلمة
ما ينفعش.
لا ينفع
لا لا عديها ينفع عديها هي
ما عندكيش العشر دقيقة مش عارفين اشيل.
طيب ماشي لاحظوا ان انا اللي هحط الامتحان باي ذا واي اخر جمعه ان شاء الله باذن الله هيبقى كده امتحاني لو سمحت كل واحد فيكم وهو جاي يجيب معاه صابونه
ايه؟
صابونه عارفين الصابونه اللي بتستخدموا يشربوا كده
ليه؟
كل واحد يجيب معاه صابونه
وده بروجكت
من هنا قدامكم شهر بقى تفكروا الصابونه دي ايه؟
طب ما هو هيستخدم
صابونه دي سليك هي مش دعوه ويا ريت تبقى فيها دكتور
لا بقى لا بقى كتير.
والتاني كده حد مش فاهم دي؟
اه طبعا. انا عن نفسي مش فاهمة.
ماشي You deposited 1,000 pounds today in the bank. Okay?
What from the bank?
In the bank. 5th September 2015, which is 1 year from now, with an interest rate of 10%. how much money we have.
when
5th of September 2015.
yes
How much?
then
From now. You deposit it today. We went to the bank now. You deposit 1,000 pounds. With an interest rate.
يعني
1,100.
لحد امتى يعني؟ لحد امتى
لحد
عشان
5
يحصل؟
سنة 2015 سنة.
اه
Okay. 1,100. What is this 100? Interest. Interest. What is interest?
العائد
يعني ايه عائد؟
فوائد
يعني ايه فوائد؟ يا عم خلاص عرفت. قلت ايه الفوائد؟
Value for investment of this 1,000.
10% دي هي 100 باوندز دي اللي هي العائد او الفائده اللي احنا بنتكلم عليها. مين شرحت كده بالعربي عشان بس الفائده دي عباره عن حاجتين. كويس مقسمه لجزئين 10%. دي متقسمه لجزء ارباح ان انا اديت الفلوس للبنك يستثمر هي. فالمفروض ان هو يديني عائد ربح. وجزء تاني عباره عن التضخم
التضخم ده هو ايه؟
اللي هو ايه؟ النهارده
قيمة الفلوس النهارده غير بعد سنة.
1000 جنيه النهارده ليها قوه شرائيه معينه تشتري بيها حاجات قد كده. السنه الجايه ليها قوه شرائيه اقل. كويس؟ اقل قد ايه؟ اقل من نسبه التضخم اللي تقريبا عندي مع الناس.
كويس
لما نتكلم في نسبه التضخم ده زي مثلا 5% زي ما قلنا حاجه زي كده. كويس؟ شكرين جدا يا ريس.
تكليف بدل او سنه
هندفع النهارده.
في تلج
هو كده خلاص كده سفر
يا زين.
طب سفر
مش عارف. كويس؟ فال 10% اللي في منهم مثلا لسه 6% تضخم، معنى كده ان ال 1000 جنيه النهارده قيمتهم كمان سنه هيبقوا 94% من قيمتهم دلوقتي. وال 4% دول هم العائد على الاستثمار. كويس؟ فده موضوع تضخم. بس كده. معنى كده ان ال 1000 جنيه النهارده سيبكم بقى من الفايده. معنى كده ان ال 1000 جنيه النهارده لا تساوي قيمتها كمان سنه. تساوي اقل من قيمتها. طيب لو انا النهارده عملت بروجكشن للكاش انفلو بتاعتي النت كاش فلو بتاعي ولقيت ان انا الشهر ده هيخش لي 15000 الشهر الجاي هيخش لي 15000 شهر كل شهر سوري 15000 كمان 5 6 شهور هل ال 15000 دي قيمتها كام النهارده؟ حلو القصه كلها ان انا لازم احسب قيمتها النهارده عشان اقيم البروجكتس على نفس الاساس. لان ممكن البروجكت يبقى عندي 3 سنين والبروجكت عندي 5 سنين اختار لي فيه. طيب نعمل ايه؟ بيجي حاجه نت بريزنت فاليو قيمه اجماليه نت كويس بريزنت دلوقتي يبقى برجع اي حاجه سواء هتتصرف او هاخدها بالوقت كويس لحد النهارده عشان يبقى كله مقيم النهارده. لا تسيب انا هقول الديسكاونت ريت بتاعي 10% او الانترست ريت بتاعي 10%. يبقى لو قبضت 1000 جنيه كمان سنه قيمتها النهارده 909. ليه؟ لان انا لو حطيت 909 دي في البنك ب 10% هتجيب لي 1000 جنيه بعد سنه. يعني هي تاخدها بالعكس. خلاص؟ فبرجع كل قيمه بتاعت فلوس في المستقبل لدلوقتي.
طب انا حسبتها 909 دي على اي اساس؟
ما هو 10% حط 909 ضربيه في 1.1 بتطلع 1000. خلاص اتفقنا؟ فبالتالي انا برجع كل حاجه بقيمتها دلوقتي. برجع كل حاجه بقيمتها دلوقتي يبقى انا اقدر اقيم التو بروجكتس اللي عندي كود القيم دلوقتي. خلاص؟ يبقى انا لما اجي احط انفستمنت واحد فيهم طلع لي النت بريزنت فاليو بتاعته 5000 والتاني طلع لي النت بريزنت فاليو بتاعته 3000 اخد مين فيهم؟ 5000. ممكن واحد فيهم يطلع نت بريزنت فاليو نيجاتيف نيجاتيف ده معناه ايه؟ ان انا هصرف عليه فلوس العائد اللي هيجي من وراها اقل من الفلوس اللي انا هصرفها بقيم دلوقتي. ممكن يبقى قيم الفلوس اللي انا هصرفها مستقبلا انا اسف ان انا هاخدها مستقبلا كبيره. بس الانفستمنت اللي انا بعمله دلوقتي اكبر من قيمتها دلوقتي. يبقى انا كده هخسر. خلاص؟ ده موضوع النت بريزنت فاليو. وده احنا بنستخدمه في البروجكتس. ده طبعا اوقع كتير جدا لما بياخد التايم فاليو اوف ماني. نحسبه ازاي؟ I know is the initial investment since it's not يبقى بتاع دلوقتي. اوكي؟ سيجما اف تي على 1 بلس كي بالباور تي، تي اللي هي البيريود. التايم بيريود اللي انا بستخدمها بدل 1 مانث بدل 1 يير بدل whatever اللي انا عايزه. تمام؟ الاف اللي هو النت كاش انفلو فور اي تي، نت كاش انفلو. الاف ده ممكن يبقى نيجاتيف لانه النت كاش انفلو ممكن يطلع نيجاتيف. نت كاش انفلو معناها الانفلو ماينس الاوت فلو اوف كاش. خلاص؟ تمام؟ هناخد اكزامبل على الكلام ده حالا دلوقتي. كي اللي هو required rate of return. يعني ايه required rate of return؟
حاجه مطلوبه عشان ما تخسرش.
معدل العائد اللي انا عايزه على الدخل. يعني انفستمنت سوري مش على الدخل. هو معدل العائد لا هو معدل العائد على الاستثمار. ريتيرن انفستمنت بتاعي. انا عايز استثمر فلوسي، البنك هيديني 12%. الشهادات بتاعت قناه السويس كتير دي مثلا. كويس؟ طب لو انا عملت المشروع ده واداني 20%، طب انا عايز عائد كام؟ لو مشروع يديني 20% ومشروع يديني 30%، انا اختار مين فيهم؟ انا لازم الاول احدد العائد بتاعي المينيمم، وهو ده اللي انا هستخدمه في الماركت. اوكي؟ اكزامبل. ايوه 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 بالظبط اللي انت عملته كده. ايوه بص هو ايه؟ هو ارقام تاني؟ لا بقول لكم ايه؟ الكورس ده مليان ارقام. هنقولها كده يعني ايه؟ ممكن تقربوا شويه طيب معلش ممكن يعني تعالوا هاتوا كراسي كده وهو عشان بس انتوا مش شايفين بس اللي مش شايف يقرب ما ينفعش مش فاضي. تعالى يا عم قرب على 5 دقايق